So today we are going to do the analysis between the growing products and mature products on Amazon. What are the pros and cons of those products which are mature enough? What are the pros and cons of those products which are growing, and what should be our approach to handle these products? My name is Dr. Vasamin. I am CEO of Upscale Valley, a full service Amazon FB agency. Let's jump onto the topic. To set up the context of the discussion, let's first see this graph, the product life cycle. If you see here, this is what they teach you in the MBA, or I'm not sure what kind of degree, because I did the medical one. So they teach you about these four stages of the product life cycle. Like first its introduction, then you can see it a balance between the demand and the supply. Once the demand is high and the supply is less, the product is in the growth stage, which you can see up here. Then eventually what happens is people see opportunity, the demand is high, the supply gradually tries to meet it up. So once the demand and supply are kind of settled up, then you will see the maturity stage, and eventually the demand is declining, or it is consistent, it is still there where it was, but the supply is increasing. More and more people are coming up in the market because they have seen this thing has been working like for last 3 4 5 7 years. So the supply is increasing, and that's where the decline stage comes up. Usually what happens is at this stage people come up with a better design, a better version of the product, and then again the cycle repeats up, but on an upper level. Like for example, it is the simple bed sheet, and once the bed sheet is declining, now here comes the terry towel bed sheet or the bamboo bed sheets, such kind of sheets with some additional features. And then what you see is this same graph is repeating again, but on a different layer, on a upper layer, because now a newer version of the product is has arrived into the market, and it is going through the same stages like introduction, growth, maturity, and decline. So this is important to understand, and this is how it definitely works. The maturity stage, like if you consider this the timeline, I don't think it's that much true. The maturity stage timeline or the time duration is longer as compared to the growth one. When the product is in the growth stage, it's kind of um into the validation phase. Like people are validating the design, whether they accept it or not. There are immature suppliers in the market, the big players have yet to come. So these players come up with their own understanding of the product, with their own improvement in the manufacturing processes. So this stage or this cycle, this part of the cycle, the growth one, it has shorter timeline as compared to the maturity one. This is very important thing to understand here. Now after setting up this context, let's discuss the pros and cons and what should be our approach in dealing with these kind of products. So mostly on Amazon, you're going to see the products in these two stages. Either the product is showing some promising stats, everyone is making revenue, there are sellers on the top with very less number of reviews. So either it's going to be this kind of scenario, you can tag that as the product which is in the growth stage right now. And then there are going to be some products which have people with decent higher number of reviews, like maybe 10,000, 20,000 at the top seller, and then gradually things are coming up downwards. There are maybe from the 5th to 20th spot, there are people or there are sellers who are making revenue, but then again with 1,000 or 2,000 reviews, and then after that there are sellers with very less number of reviews. So this is what I'm going to tag as the maturity. And then the decline stage is those products which has been on Amazon and those are pretty competitive. For example, brown craft paper or any such kind of product in which you see a drastic demarcation. Either sellers who have more than 5 6 7,000 reviews, those are earning, and then there are sellers which have less number of reviews and they are not earning at all. Like the difference between their revenues is going to be, for example, sellers with higher number of reviews are making 50 70 or 100,000 per month, and sellers with reviews less than even 2,000 are not making more than 5,000 revenue per month. So a clear cut demarcation. This is what we tag as the decline stage. Products in the introduction stage usually do not pick up the hype on Amazon. They are mostly on like people are running Meta ads or Google ads, and they are mostly on the Shopify or drop shipping kind of stuff. So the products in the introduction stage are usually at this level. A good example to consider about this part is the Poppet. Yeah, the puppet which got viral in the COVID. So it was introduced, and then in the COVID, it was in the growth stage. Usually, we see Apple Airport or anything related to Apple as the top search product on Amazon, except there are occasions and seasons, like for example, Valentine Day stuff or maybe Christmas stuff. Other than that, we usually see some pretty famous brand products as the top search ones. But when the Puppet product came up in the market, it was leading, so it was in the growth stage. Now it is kind of in the maturity and declining part. So to give you a bit of understanding how these things work up, let's discuss about the pros of such a product which is in the growth phase right now. That can be a blessing or that can be a hazard as well at the same time. That totally depends upon what is the reason for the increment in demand, or what is the reason for the demand spike or hike, or whatsoever you want to say. What's the reason behind that? Is it um, some bunch of TikTokers have created content about this product and it has gone viral, or is it based upon an actual need? Based upon that, our decision to jump into the product can be a great opportunity to make money, or can be a failure case study. So it can go either way, but it totally depends upon the background, the context, why the particular product has picked up the hype. What is the reason behind that? Is it seasonal? Is it maybe it's been displayed in any TV show for some time, or a bunch of influencers or TikTokers have pick up the hype, or is it some natural lifestyle demand of the product, or is it something the product does have potential or not? Does the product has that kind of potential that it is carrying itself? For the tail part, it has become the need of the people, or is the product does not have such kind of potential to carry itself in the longer run, and its demand is declining. So this kind of analysis, if you have such kind of experience and you can analyze things from this perspective, it can be a big opportunity, or it can give you some clear cut, very obvious red signals to avoid such kind of product. And jumping into the product which has very short term hype, and you are considering some long term expectation from these products, can be a massive disaster. So I'm going to share with you guys examples of both things. Some products in growth stage which have made people millionaires, and some products in growth stage which have made people lose a big amount of their money. So both kind of examples to give you some of the highlight in this scenario. So here, if you see the example of pickleball paddle, this particular sport is picking up the trend in USA. Every middle-aged guy is, or people in the middle age, they are playing it frequently, they are liking it, people are posting about it on Snapchat, on Instagram. So it is picking up the hype. If you see this trend, so it's kind of in the upwards. If I go here and see the 5-year trend, you can see here how it's picking up the hype. So this is something which is growing up in the long term stage. You see it has started picking up the hype in the mid of 2021, 2022, 2023. So last 3 years it's kind of growing good. So someone who has entered in these 3 years time span, they must have made fortune out of it, because the demand is consistently growing. So let's say here is the supply, and the supply is growing because people see opportunity, they're supposed to jump up into it, right? So the supply is growing, but gradually you see the demand is also growing. So there's always a gap between the demand and then the supply. And here is what we see, the ease to make money, and there's not enough competition. Even if you do not stand out from product differentiation perspective, still there is some good opportunity for you to make money. So just to give you an example, right now in this phase, things have become competitive. One PPC bid or click is costing you around $8 to $10 on Amazon, but still people will make money. It has become a bit difficult, and here comes the experience part. If you have experience, a sound enough experience, then definitely you can still survive. But these 3 years were the golden years to make money out of such product. And then again, if you have launched this product in these 3 years, by this time you would be sustained and making some good revenue per month on the monthly basis, you can say. So this is one example, which is the product is in the growth stage, and if you enter into the product in right time, then there is some good fortune for you to make. Another example is this poster corrector. So this product got famous in 2018 precisely. So it started picking up the hype in 2018. Then again from 2018 mid, it stayed on top till around 2021. So around 2.5 year or 3.5 year, you can say. And in this time period, someone who has launched in this time period, it has worked amazing for them. So this is kind of, what we hear about the investment portfolio. Go for low risk investment for maybe 50 or 70% of your chunk, and for 20 to 30% go for high risk stuff. So this is that kind of high risk, because if it works out, the returns in a certain time period is much more higher as compared to any typical evergreen product. So these two are the good examples of products in growth stage. But then again, people entered into the COVID, sitting on their desk doing work. There was no hustle, there was no traveling around in the world. So someone who is watching Netflix or doing job sitting in his chair, so people were getting slouchy. So this kind of product had a natural integration with the COVID event in the world, and people were using it to stay to maintain their posture. And similarly, the pickleball pedal, it's easier to use. It's kind of a mix of tennis, but comparatively easier to play. Everyone can play it. Not that kind of expertise is required. People are liking it, especially those in the middle age, those who are not kind of young athletes willing to play baseball or these kind of sports. So it's got lighter activity for someone to stay fit, and it is picking up hype. People are really playing this game and enjoying it. So these are the two examples which are integrating naturally into the lifestyle. For example, keto, people shifted onto the junk food. So this kind of keto diet concept was a natural step, which was in integration, or which was in a natural coherence with whatsoever was happening in the market. So just kind of this thing, that this should make some logical sense why people are using it, and you can have some logical answers why you should bet on it. Why do you think it's going to sustain into the market? So these kind of things are some potential research points which you need to do before investing into any product in the growth stage. Now let me show you a couple of examples where the products were in the growing stage. People did invest into the products, but those turned out to be failures. So this product, pampas grass, people who have launched it in this time period in 2020, even though it's a seasonal thing, but still you can see overall the trend is declining from here, from 75 on average to 25, and that's a big decline. And the sole reason was, in this time period, the product got famous by TikTokers and Instagram influencers, and the guys or the influencers showed how this pampas grass is adding much value to their home decor. But eventually it was supposed to phase out because there was no real value, or nothing was adding value to the people's lifestyle or their need. So it was more like a something which is not providing the actual value. It picked up the hype, people used it, they did not find any reason to consistently use it, and then the things started declining. Similarly, this another product, weighted hula hoop. If you are a TikTok user, you must have seen this sensation. Everyone is kind of moving and using this weighted hula hoop, and it was a complete hype. So people who have launched it in this time period, okay, it worked out for them, but eventually it decreased, its demand decreased consistently. And if I translate these things into the Amazon terms, what happens is, once the product declines from the hike of high search volume to the bottom of, to the trenches of this 20, from 100 to 20, when the product gets declined to this part, what happens? Just to give you an example, this product was being sold in $58 to $76 weighted hula hoop when it was on this hike. and then when the demand declined, the product used to sell on in $26, $24. So this much decline, but the advertising cost was still same. The search volume of the keywords were declining, the orders you were getting from certain number of keywords were declining. Then at this stage, those players which you do not feel threatened from, the big players, the Chinese players, or someone who has deep pockets, the effect or the impact of those players on your listing gets higher, because they are willing, or they have the pockets to afford selling at break even or maybe at loss for 1 to 2 year to kick you out of the game. Now before, the demand was high, so it was not hurting you. Once the demand declined to around 50 to 70%, then the sale chunk, like let's say before it was 1000 sales per day, now it has get down to 300 sales per day. At this stage, the competitors who have deep pockets, or the competitors who have much more experience, they are going to kick you out of the game. And eventually, for some portion of your inventory, you have to liquidate that, because things have become super competitive. Or you have reordered your stock and you are expecting to sell it in maybe $50, but then you see there are many players on the top spots who are selling it in $30, $35, and we do get panic. Okay, so why is it happening? What are we supposed to do here? There can be two possible interpretations of these things, but one of that interpretation, or one of that reason behind this kind of decline in the prices, is the demand part, because things get declined, and by the same time mature sellers jump up into the market, so they come up with better version of the product, the cheaper one. They do the manufacturing restructuring or manufacturing process optimization, such kind of things, to make sure that they can provide the same value in lesser price. And at this stage, people who are related to the manufacturing units, or who have access to the factories, they win. And people who are online sellers and they are doing sourcing by sitting in their homes, it hurt them. So this kind of thing. Now let's discuss about the pros and cons of a mature product. What is the definition for mature product? You won't see such kind of zigzag like hike and then decline in the search volume. It stays consistent. The players in the market are consistent. You do not see any big decline or hike in the prices. The prices in the market are very competitive and very consistent. In such kind of products, you won't expect any abrupt or frequent change in the product pricing or in the product designing, because the product is validated in the market. Customers do like it, they do understand this is their need, they do repeat purchases. So it's not like the product is in its growth stage, and then once the product is in its growth stage, at the same time it's in its validation stage. So people do figure out or see what kind of design this is, whether they like it or not, and then the manufacturers at the back end or the other players, they do come up with different designs, because the market has not settled down yet to one particular design. So that is the stage of, you can say, semi chaos. I don't think semi chaos is the right word, but then again, something or an environment in which there are abrupt changes happening. New designs are coming up more frequently, maybe at the time frame of 1 to 1.5 year. Prices are declining, so people are confused what to do. Okay, so I had done the sourcing at this, let's say $30, but now people are coming up in the market in $18. What to do? So these kind of things are the negative side, or are the cons of the growing stage, the products in the growing stage. Now the upside or the pros we have seen, they can make you millionaire. I mean, the ROI on in a certain time period, like 2 years, and with a certain product, with a certain investment, is much more higher if you understand and play the game rightfully. If not, it can turns out, I mean, the negative side is this: abrupt changes in the product design, prices. People are coming up with newer and newer things, and you are always chasing up, or at least trying to catch up with all these changes if you are not ahead of the curve already. So these are the pros and cons, these two things. For the mature market, it does not happen like this. You won't see abrupt changes in the prices, you won't see abrupt changes in the product design. The product is there to stay, but it is super competitive. You need to have investment. I mean, you should have in this year have this thing in your mind that it is going to take you somewhere between 6 months to 1.5 or maybe 2 year to get stable, unless until you come up with a product development which people are appreciating a lot. Otherwise, the graph of stability is going to fall somewhere between 6 months to 2 years, and it's totally fine with people, because once you get profitable, I mean, you recover your ROI within next 1 to 2 year and you make amazing amount of money. So that's another side. But for that first 1 to 2 year, it becomes super competitive. You are kind of selling things at loss, and then you are consistently selling it, and then you achieve the stage of being break even. Now you say, okay, so I'm working, I'm giving my time, my team is working, the product, I mean, I'm placing order to the supplier, the product is rolling, everything is going on smoothly, Amazon is making money, but then again, when will I make money? So this kind of thing does happen in the mature stage product. But then again, this is once you enter into the product right away. If you do some kind of product development, you come up with a better value, then you can also make good amount of money in this kind of scenario. And a prime example of this thing is someone who has already done it before is Simple Modern brand. Now I guess the brand is doing 200 million per annum, but 9 years or 8 years ago when they started, they jumped into a pretty competitive market, water bottles, but they did their product development share and or effort, and it paid them off in a very well way, in a very well manner. So these were the pros and cons of products in their mature stage. If I try to show you some of their graphs, like for example garlic press, a pretty famous and I would say at the same time notorious product, you can see the demand is pretty much consistent. Bed sheets, just picking up random examples. So the demand is, I mean, there is some seasonal element like summer and winter kind of stuff, but still overall year over year it is consistent, it is here to stay. So such kind of products. The downside is it is competitive. The upside is, and then again you can also deal with the downside by doing some product development. It does take time, but it does reward you in a very well way. And then the upside is market is consistent, market is stable, you won't see abrupt changes happening to the market, so you can expect some consistency or stability. So what is the point in discussing with you the products in the growth stage, how you can identify those, what are their pros and cons, then what are the pros and cons of products in their mature stage? The point is to identify whenever you are doing product research and validating a niche, what kind of product is it? Is it a product in its mature stage, or is it something in its growing stage? Because then if the product is in the growth stage, you need to do an extra layer of working and validation why the product is in growth stage. For example, if you find a niche where people are making revenue with a bit of ease, then do check out and be skeptical about it on first glance. If everything is going good, is it really a good opportunity, or is it something which I'm missing? For example, sometimes there are products which are picking up hype on Amazon, but then once you do some research, you get to know that okay, so this was a product which got famous in Shark Tank, and or maybe Shark Tank or Dragon Den, such kind of platforms, and then the actual inventor has applied for the patent, but they are waiting for the patent to get approved, and then they'll kick out every top player. But till the stage you see okay, so the numbers are super lucrative, we should definitely jump into the game, but it is not the actual scenario. Similarly, for the products in their growth stage, you should do the analysis. Why is the hype? What is the reason behind that? Is it a bunch of influencers doing some kind of stuff, or is it actually adding value to the people life, or is it like the top player who has patent, they are kind of supporting some of their distributors and people are selling it? Otherwise it's a very competitive market, so you need to do some of the homework. If you do your due diligence and you are pretty confident that okay, so it is the new pickleball pedal stuff, it is the new poster character stuff, then okay, take a risk, but then again you are entering into the market with the right mindset that it should no, it should be like 20-30% of my investment portfolio or my product. If it works out, okay, I am expecting a crazy sale. If it does not work out, then all good. Otherwise, if you are in that stage of your Amazon or online selling journey where you see, okay, I need to launch something more stable, you definitely need to look into different kind of products, or you should have a analysis why this kind of hype, why, how can I make it better. Another way of thinking or dealing with the products in the growth stages, okay, so there is a growth and then the supply is supposed to increase, so eventually every product in its growth stage has to turn into the mature stage. Eventually this is supposed to happen. How can I add value to the product? How can I come up with a better design, with maybe better sourcing, with a bit of better manufacturing process? How can I understand those things and come up with something which is already ahead of the curve? This is a pretty smart move. And once you realize, okay, so the product is in the growth stage, but this is a short term duration, maybe in the next 1 to 3 years it is going to become competitive, and keeping the future insights ahead in your mind, you come up with something better. You do put some effort in the product development and you come up with better design or cost effective pricing. You kind of eliminate the features which are not working out. If you do this kind of homework and come up with something better, it's going to pay you off in a very well manner. It's going to be very rewarding for you. And but if you do not have this kind of mindset and you are just copy pasting the product which other people are selling, then the wave of experienced players, or the phase when it shift into the mature stage from the growth stage, most of the time you have to kind of liquidate all of your inventory and look for any other product to launch. So this kind of awareness is pretty useful and help you to take mature decisions. Hope you understand and like the content. If you have any questions, you can ask in the comment section below. See you soon with the next video. Goodbye.